we're finally free! What's up, guys? Uncle Pencil here, and here we are to do a breakdown and review for chapter 423 of My Hero Academia, which is known as One for All versus All for One. And ladies and gentlemen, it seems we're finally at the end. We are finally free. And this is such a time to be alive. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, this chapter, it is a mix of things. Number one, biggest thing, and I think we could just leap to the end, because in my opinion, despite this being the end, like that's the most like whatever part of the chapter. We're finally done. We're free. All for one, Shigaraki destroyed, absolutely annihilated. They're away from the timeline. Both of them completely disintegrate. Like this is what's left of them. The sky is clean. I love the parallel right here of Midoriya punching through the hole in the sky. When All Might punched the series in the beginning, he cleared away a storm. Midoriya does the uppercut in the end. He clears away a storm, opens up the bright light into a brand new future. Beautiful. I love the parallels there. Start of the journey, end of the journey, bookends. I know a lot of people get on George Lucas's case with that quote, but it's like poetry. It rhymes. Like, yeah, I actually do appreciate that. That's a beautiful way to wrap the conclusion. And notably, both villains kind of ended up in the same place. The slime villain from the start of the series got punched out of reality by All Might, and now Shigaraki and All for One get punched out of reality by Midoriya. Beautiful. I actually really like that. Funniest thing in this entire chapter to me, Bakugo. Here's the thing, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy that he actually had a moment. A lot of people point out that it was pretty weird that literally every other single character had a moment. Last chapter, even if it was super duper minor, they at least made an appearance. All the major ones. Araka got an appearance even though she's nowhere nearby. Tenya got a whole panel. Shoto got a funny looking panel, but he got this panel last chapter. It wasn't much, but still, it was something. And of course, he had his previous one before with his father, Endeavor. But like, Bakugo didn't show up. But I know this is meant to be cool and climactic, and I do like it. Once again, things that I like. I love how Midoriya, once again, through his reaching of Bakugo and Bakugo's character development, he says, "I only borrowed Todoroki's jump board. Watch out, or else I'll surpass you, Izuku." He called Todoroki. Not half hot, half cold, or half and half, or whatever he called him. It's been a while. And he called Izuku. Right here in the end. No Deku, no nothing. Even though he is the Deku who does his best, even though he's had the name flipped, he knows in his core that was a derogatory appropriation of a name for his friend. It meant to be useless. But after all this, Midoriya has earned his true name from Bakugo Katsuki. That's beautiful. The thing that's so unironically hilarious about this is, number one, remember, the last time we saw him, he passed out. He raised his fist and... Because remember, his body is like in pieces. Realistically, he should not be able to move at all. But also, he cleared the entire distance. Remember, they aren't chilling anywhere near the UA crash site anymore. They like went all the way to Mount Fuji. Like, unless I'm misremembering. Once again, feel free to correct me. I've made mistakes before, I will make mistakes again. But I'm pretty sure they are nowhere near where they once were. That's why everyone had to be portaled here by Kurogiri. Because they weren't anywhere near where they were before. They moved far, far, far away. So, Bakugo, who fell near the UA crash site, that man flew. He flew. And of course, he is one of the fastest characters in the series at this point, obviously. But still, the fact that he did that after waking up, presumably after passing out and destroying his body. Also, he could just flat out execute Kurogiri with a bite explosion. What? Like, y'all realize, he only shows up, not to in a way, to help Midoriya deliver the final blow, because Kurogiri, out of nowhere, once again, I do think, as much as I'm fine with it, and as much as I do need to read Vigilantes, I've heard it's a very, very good manga, and I was reading it for a while, but I fell off of it. As much as I do need to read Vigilantes, and I wish I had, I had so much time, I just never got into it, or at least logged back into it. I had so much time. I feel like this would hit more. I feel like I would care more about the whole Yamada, Kurogiri, Shirakumo, Aizawa dynamic. I don't. And it looks like Hori doesn't either, because, notably, when they have this big climactic moment of Kurogiri essentially falling back into his programming and let some of the Shirakumo side leak out and, reveal that he deeply does care for Shigaraki to the point where he, asks All For One personally. He begs him to let Shigaraki be free. Yeah. Instead, since he's blocking Midoriya's punch, Bakugo comes in and straight executes him. That's the conclusion of that arc. No, like, well, I guess it's kind of comeuppance for Kurogiri slash Shirakumo's time as a villain, but, like, I don't know. It seems oddly visceral and, like, kind of strange that we end that whole, like, multifaceted plot with Bakugo biting Kurogiri's head out of existence. And then blowing it up. I don't know. It tickled me. It tickled me. I was so bamboozled that Bakugo showed up, and then it took a second for me to realize, oh, wait, like, he slaughtered Kurogiri. And, like, notably, we don't even get a mention of that. Like, that just happens, and then we don't cut back to that. So, what essentially, Yamada and Aizawa watched their best friend, who they had just gotten back, get slaughtered by one of their students remorselessly. I don't know. This shouldn't tickle me as much as it should, but just the presentation of it, the absolute absurdity of Bakugo being here, all that, absolutely hilarious. For this little conversation, for the longest time I always joked, what about All For One, Midoriya? What about All For One? Aren't you trying to save All For One? What about this? What about that? Yeah. Because I was mocking him, essentially. I was like, dude, if you're going to start saving all these super crazy, horrible people, because they're people too, we need to save them. I know people are going to be like, Pencil, how can you like Batman and then not like this? Hypocrisy. I ain't gonna lie, it's straight hypocrisy. It's 100 million, billion, trillion, duodecillion % hypocrisy. I 100% admit that. I'm not just a huge hypocrite. But with it being the case, I always mocked him for this, but the story has an answer. Midoriya doesn't see All For One as what he wants to be seen. He doesn't see him as a monster. He doesn't see him as a demon. He's just a dude. A lonely man. And thusly, he hurt a lot of people for being that lonely. And that's how he connects with All For One. And you even see that strikes fear in All For One. And I do like that. I like that Midoriya ultimately, due to being a pure person, being just a kid from the streets, not even, a quirkless kid in a quirk-filled world, given power to actually do something and save people, he doesn't really see All For One as this deific, monstrous creature. He just sees him as another dude. Because he was another dude. And dudes on dudes, that's not like that, but dudes on dudes equals dude. And thusly, they have this moment where ultimately All For One is reached by Midoriya. And not just reached by Midoriya, but actually reached by Yoichi. And that's nice enough. Once again, All For One being reduced down to a lonely man, I'm fine with it. Once again, it makes sense. It fits within the context of the character. He's just, once again, he was empty. That's the big thing about All For One. It's the whole reason he had the Shigaraki plotline in the first place, because he didn't really feel anything. So yeah, he's just a lonely dude. Probably has a mental disorder here or there. But with that being the case, I'll be completely honest, this little wrap-up here, could not care less. I'm glad they just punch him out of existence. Like, notably, we have this beautiful little scenario where All For One is still trying to be in control and trying to manipulate. Once again, I would like to believe that what he says here is real. Like, no, I won't allow it. I love you. I truly love you. I am nothing without you. That definitely can be inferred by All For One's narrative up to a certain point. Like, he was so desperate to get All For One, or One For All. He was so desperate to reconnect with his brother. He held his brother in a cage. But, like, I don't think that's love. Or at least not real, like, genuine love. Like he locked him in a box. And, like, kept slaughtering people. Like, dude, like, come on now. I honestly think it's just All For One essentially in his death throes, trying to beg for something. Trying to get something out of this. He's trying to get his demands met, but of course, All For One doesn't deserve that. He's a villain. And thusly, we see that it isn't just Yoichi who woke up and ultimately managed to reconnect with All For One here and give them some sort of closure. No. Like, everyone is here. You see, I love this little group. You see Shigaraki obviously being the main one, but Danjiburo, let me see. Danjiburo, that's his fist. That's, whatever the second one's name was. That's, I forget his name too. I'm sorry, I don't remember these characters' names. I want to say that's Nana? Or that may be N? No, that's N. I think this may be Nana. Notably, All Might does make an appearance here, but I think that's fine enough. Like, he's still alive, so it makes sense that he doesn't make an appearance. His vestige probably got annihilated or something like that. Sorry, I'm all up in the camera. But with that being the case, I do like that One For All does strike back against All For One. And Shigaraki, the reason I want to say this maybe isn't Nana, even though it kind of looks like her, and 1, 2, 3, 4, who are we missing? We're missing somebody. But with that being the case, we see Shigaraki lead the charge because it was Nana who saved him. Ultimately, that's who brought him back, Grandma, which is nice. Once again, Nana sacrificing herself for her kids in order to make up for what she did. I'll take it. I'll take it. Once again, it's a nice conclusion to the character. Even though the character's been gone for a while, the vestige is still technically a continuation of the character, so that works out really, really nice. Midori and Shigaraki having a final fist bump to absolutely annihilate All For One is, one, a really cool visual. I do love this panel, one of my favorites in the series already, and I literally just saw it today. But also, I do like how these two destroy All For One. He gets something, like, he gets a little bit of a connection. Midori gets a little bit of, like, emphasizing and, like, empathizing with him and understanding that he's just a lonely man. Like, Midori was a lonely kid because of their outcast nature, All For One being the pinnacle, or the peak of the mountain, Midori being the base of the mountain, being quirkless. But no, though, they slaughter him. They slaughter him. And of course, once again, this isn't a person, really. This is just a vestige. The original All For One has not long. It's been like 15 minutes in universe since Bakugo got him. But he's rewound out of existence. This remnant of All For One is just that. A remnant. The original vestige, it gets destroyed. And I, once again, feel a bit, I'm still indifferent. Mostly indifferent to the character of Shigaraki. Now. As he's been characterized now. Because essentially what the chapter does is have Shigaraki admit, I'm a crying brat, just like you said. I wasn't able to crush your hand. And he tells Midoriya in the end, hey, if Spinner's still alive, tell him this. Tomono Shigaraki fought until the end to destroy. And then Midoriya says you did it. So, like, once again, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've wanted more from Shigaraki, and that's my fault. Like, I genuinely thought we were going to get something completely different. I thought that we weren't going to just simplify Shigaraki down to the crying child. And it's clear that to some degree, he doesn't fully connect with or link himself to that personality or to the original child. He does not associate himself or tell him Tenko Shimura did. He specifically uses the name given to him, Tomono Shigaraki. So, like, I still don't know. I feel like this whole messaging in the end is a bit confused, but that's just for me. I know a lot of people love this. A lot of people, like, I took a quick glance in between the live reaction and my review to look around the community consensus for the chapter. A lot of people are loving it. A lot of people are saying this is the greatest ending ever, blah, 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 blah. I'm still mostly indifferent because I feel like the character of Shigaraki just got lost in the mix somewhere. Like, the dynamic between Midori and Shigaraki was one of the best things about My Hero Academia, even though they rarely interacted. It was the parallel dynamics. And to see Shigaraki be reduced down to a crying brat who was throwing a temper tantrum, instead of being the culmination of a bunch of actual societal issues that were born of actual organic things that led to one man resolving himself to fundamentally shatter the system. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And that's fine. That's fine. Once again, it's a me thing. It's a me thing. That's the big thing. You'll be shocked where I say this chapter is still a 10 out of 10. Because there's nothing actively wrong with the chapter itself. In fact, another little detail I like about this chapter, all of 1A is in this image. These connecting lines that end up piercing through this vision of All For One, this is all of 1A. The only people who are missing are the 4 who are actively either not there or fighting. Midoriya, Bakugo, Uraraka, and one more. But let me see. Let me double check. Kaminari, Momo, Jiro, Ida. Oh, Shoto. There we go. Yeah, weird. It actually is a little bit weird, considering Shoto doesn't necessarily get too much of a moment later on in this chapter, but he does have something. But every single 1A member is here. All the minor ones. But Uraraka, who does make an appearance in this chapter, kind of the flip of the Bakugo scenario, but that's fine. Once again, she had her moment last chapter. But Bakugo, Uraraka, Midoriya, and Shoto, the main 4 of 1A, they don't appear here, but everyone else does. The connections are nice. And obviously you have the other little cameos, like Hibata, like Snipe, like the 1B kids, Ryukyu. So, like, this chapter is full of so much stuff, and I feel like it's a very heavy continuation of this really was our My Hero Academia that I praised last chapter for. So I'm going to still give it a 10 out of 10. It's just that the direction the story went isn't what I saw. And unlike other times where I'm perfectly fine with that, like, JJK has gone in directions never expected at all. I have my issues with that too, but I find myself more okay with and liking that more than this. I really like Shigaraki. In my opinion, he was the greatest thing to come out of New Gen, up until the point of the end of the First War. This Shigaraki who didn't really get to have any closure with his friends. This Shigaraki who was just a meat puppet. This Shigaraki who never was real. There is no, in a way, Tomono Shigaraki does not exist. It is a template. It is not the culmination of actual society issues piling on top of each other. Nope. It was an experiment for a body of an infinitely less interesting character in All For One. And in the end, Midoriya, I guess, kind of saved him. But the saddest thing about all this, he didn't. There's functionally no difference between just executing Shigaraki and doing this. If anything, it just put more people at risk when you think about it, which is the sad thing. But they'd be like that when it'd be like that. As Midoriya says, I wanted to stop you because you wanted to be stopped. And that's another... I feel like Midoriya, despite the whole flashback section, and they're connecting over that, I feel like Midoriya still didn't really get to know Shigaraki. He didn't really get to know the experience. The things I loved about Shigaraki were his connections to other characters, specifically other members of the League of Villains, his parallels with Midoriya in terms of the hero's journey and the villain's journey, and Shigaraki being his own person. A person born out of the trauma of a sad, broken child. All three of those things in that introduction, or in this conclusion, don't exist. Shigaraki's not his own person. He's a crying brat. He's Tenko Shimura, throwing a temper tantrum. As he says himself. He has some sort of closure, but not directly with Dabi, or with Toga, or with Spinner, or with Kurogiri. No. He tells Midoriya to go tell Spinner. Because that's it. And... what was the final thing? I completely forget the final thing I said. But of those three things, and yeah, that's just it. But that's the story of My Hero Academia. Of the boy who could. Midoriya Izuku is the boy who could. He saved everybody. He's the greatest hero. Now he's quirkless, and I know I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on that. I'm personally fine with it. Once again, the story's over. I mean, I'm kind of fine with it. It's a wrap up. It's a wrap up. We're done. My Hero Academia is done. Peace has finally been restored, and I'm interested to see the epilogue and the wrap up. But overall, Dabi chapter. A Dabi chapter. Once again, once the series finally wraps up, I'm going to do a retrospective. I'm going to do a full reread with the themes of the end in mind to see if I can see them in the beginning, or if my long-held theory that Hori kind of just changed his mind some point along the line will be made true. I don't know. We'll see. I've been wrong before. I'm happy to be wrong again. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave "End of an Era." End of an era in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks will include the 12-minute live reaction to this very chapter, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, fun factoid, if you want to make a one-time donation to your boy, or order a video one time for 25 beans, the link to my Ko-Fi is in the description down below. But now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members. O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, At Kids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf, 4765, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, Paris Arnold, and G Prosper. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 members, Super Gamer Q, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Oexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 patrons, Joaquin Munoz, and Idemo Kami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.